Did you know 1 in 6 children face some kind of mental health concern each year? And help is too often in short supply, especially in rural parts of Idaho. This Thursday, September 26th, Boise State Public Radio is holding a special event in Marsing to talk about rural mental health issues, and we'd like to invite you to come, especially if you or someone you know lives or works in Owyhee or Canyon counties. The event is free and open to the public, and dinner will be provided. So meet us at Marsing High School this Thursday, September 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. for an important panel conversation on building connections between teens, families, and their support networks. Find event details at boisestatepublicradio.org/events.
From Boise State Public Radio, this is The Connector, Idaho's daily news. Good morning, I'm George Prentice. Today, we've got some good news on the fire watch. We will bring you news on how wildland firefighters may soon see a dramatic drop in pay. And we'll take you to an historic event in downtown Boise this past weekend, an event that was promised to be a day of transgender joy. It is Monday, September 16th, and here we go with today's stories. On the fire watch, thousands of firefighters are starting another week on the front lines of fires, big and small, across the region this morning. Let's start with the lava fire, coming off an especially dangerous week last week when the lava and boulder fires merged north of Emmett, west of Lake Cascade, and all of this threatening Adams, Gem, and Valley counties. Pete Myers is an operations chief on the scene. He says there was some good luck with the weather conditions this past weekend, and now structure crews are being spread out across the north and the west perimeters.
Our structure group, they go in here to Indian Mountain Lookout, and also they're working up Indian Valley, up to council. We're doing assessments on them, and also they're down in Little Weezer Creek.
And that is including a good amount of territory. As of this morning, the lava fire has burned more than 95,000 acres. There are nearly 800 firefighters on the scene. It is 26% contained. Now over to the massive Wapiti fire, where we're hearing about some progress there. James Norville is with operations at the Wapiti.
The group of folks and equipment over here on the east side of the fire in these communities. What that looks like is getting all the pumps and hose pulled out and turning back our control lines to their more natural state.
Keeping in mind that the Wapiti was sparked back on July 24th, as of this morning, it has burned more than 125,000 acres. While they are fighting one of the worst wildfire seasons in memory, those same wildland firefighters are facing the possibility of a dramatic cut in pay at the end of this month. That may well happen if Congress fails to act, as Murphy Woodhouse reports.
Without action, the government could shut down after September 30th. Along with that, federal wildland firefighters would see the end of temporary raises as large as $20,000. Idaho Republican Congressman Mike Simpson is the chair of a subcommittee that has taken on the issue. It approved a budget earlier this summer with permanent pay raises for wildland firefighters. He tells the Mountain West News Bureau that there are a lot of differences between the House and Senate versions of the measure and not a lot of time to resolve them.
We've only got 2 weeks back in Congress, I think. So we'll do a continuing resolution. The debate right now is how long will it last?
He'd like to see the continuing resolution, a temporary funding measure, go just until December, so Congress has to pass a budget before the end of the Biden administration. He says further delay could put the next president and Congress in a tough spot. For the Mountain West News Bureau, I'm Murphy Woodhouse.
Well, it was quite the historic weekend in downtown Boise this past weekend, as hundreds of people, it was estimated to be about 700, all participating in Boise's first ever march for what was promised as transgender joy. Jamie Geary was there, and he tells us all about it.
The march started at 8th and Jefferson Streets near the Capitol building with speeches from community members. Then, the nearly 700 participants walked to the Anne Frank Memorial, where drag performers danced to a live DJ set. Standing in the memorial's amphitheater, Bonnie Violet, the main organizer of Boise's Trans March, told the crowd that the event was organized in just 2 months.
We had to brings so much together. We have local, regional, and national partners who sip money, who, this is, trans and non-binary people out in public in Idaho. There's always a
Violet says this gathering was meant to counter Idaho's political climate, which she says can be hostile to trans individuals.
This is not the first time trans people are fighting for themselves. It may be one of the first times that we are intentionally full of freaking joy in public.
The Idaho legislature has passed laws in recent years limiting health care for people who are trans. Just recently, a federal judge issued an injunction against an Idaho House bill that would restrict public funds for gender-affirming care. Former Idaho Senator Cole Lefevre spoke and says they were surprised by how many people showed up.
To just see this day where this trans march is as big as our whole Pride was in 1993 is so beautiful.
Volunteer organizer Preston Pace says this event was planned to be more of a celebration than a demonstration.
It is so common for this community in particular to focus on grief and resilience, just basically the struggle of being so marginalized. Instead, we focused on this march purely on the joy and the celebration of it.
Multiple human rights organizations were there, including Scott Sippy of the Humanists of Idaho, who came to support trans rights and social equality.
We're all equal, we're all humans, and we all should work together to make the earth a better place.
People wrote messages of support on carnations and added them to a statue created by local artists. Jamie Geary, Boise State Public Radio News.
And that is today's episode of The Connector. I'm George Prentice. We'll see you back here tomorrow. To stay in touch with the news between now and then, you can check out boisestatepublicradio.org or download the free Boise State Public Radio app. Thanks for listening.